Let's see what happens now that Nick has been arrested. So let's jump in to the finale of season 5. So we begin with John telling Bonaparte that, I just had to arrest Nick. And he's like, oh, this is a great opportunity. I'm gonna have some of my men come pick him up. I want to meet him. So the North Precinct finds a way to get a warrant to transfer Nick to their precinct. Again, that's the precinct that's just Blacklaw. So now Nick is going to go and meet Bonaparte. Meanwhile, Rosalie figures out that she's pregnant and she's trying to tell Monroe, but with everything that's going on, it's kind of chaotic. And so they meanwhile have to go and hide all the books so that if Blacklaw breaks into the shop, they won't find all these Grimm books, especially that Grimm book with the names of all the Grimms. So they're hiding those books in the cellar. When some Blacklaw people shows up, Trouble shows up too, and she kills them all, and they manage to escape with some weapons back to the loft. Only to then hear that Nick has been arrested and has been transferred to a different precinct. Meanwhile, Annalyn calls up Nick, and Wu picks the phone because Nick is in prison right now, and Wu explains what's going on. But she has to very quickly hang up because Dawn shows up. Meanwhile, Bonaparte is able to get a hold of Nick, and he starts torturing Nick to get any information he can about him out. And where that book is hidden, and Nick is, he starts showing Nick visions where he's handing Nick Kelly again, where Nick is in the loft, and suddenly Bonaparte shows up and steals Kelly, all these different visions. And even in one of them where Nick sees this man giving Bonaparte to Kelly, and he goes and snaps the guy's neck, only for him to reveal that it's actually himself. And it's just all these trippy things he's trying to fight through as he's being tortured. But then the Grimm team shows up and they attack. You get to see Eve, using all her powers, but then Eve runs in to Bonaparte, and now it's Hex and Beast, Giselle Beast. But in the end, Bonaparte gets the upper hand, and he uses some glass to cut Eve, and so Eve gets hurt, and they have to escape now. And this is something I'm really nitpicky, but as someone who, I was a Boy Scout, I did a bunch of first aid and all, but it always annoys me in movies when they do this. But if you have something sticking in you and you don't have the ability to sew it up, do any form of healing at that moment, do not pull out the knife out of there if it's not poisoned. If it's poisoned, that's a little bit of a different story. But if it's not poisoned, do not pull the knife out. Do not pull the piece of glass out. Do not do that. Because the moment you do that, it only bleeds more, and you want to keep as much of the blood in as you can. It's the only way you might survive. So the moment Nick comes over there and he pulls out the glass, I'm like, don't do that, Nick. The glass was keeping most of her blood in, and so now she's dying even faster because you just took the bloody glass out. What is wrong with you, my man? Meanwhile, Bonaparte gets back as the only survivor of that group, and he goes up to Adeline and he's like, I need to know where Nick's address is. Where is he? And she refuses, and so he starts choking her. And as he was basically doing with Nick, and he's trying to choke the information out of her, and she gives it to him. And then almost immediately runs up the stairs and goes into Diana's room and says, Diana, I need your help. I need you to get a hold of Kelly's dad, and warn him something. So Nick and the rest of the group gets back to the loft, and Nick uses the stick on Eve, and it heals up her wound, only for her to immediately start convulsing and just have a seizure on the ground. And this is the first hint you have of something's wrong with that stick. It can heal, but it's doing something else. And we're going to hear in a few minutes what it does with Eve. But basically, as they manage to get Eve to calm down, they notice someone else is in the room, and they look over, and there's Diana making an image of herself in the room. She tells Nick that he's in trouble. Her mom had to tell Bonaparte something, and it's his address, and they're coming for him. And so they have to go hide in the tunnel. And so they all start running down there, but Nick decides to stay behind to protect everyone, which I don't know why people do that in movies where they just all stay behind and protect. They had time to all get out of there, but Nick chose to stick around so they could get more distance. It's guys, why? It wouldn't do much help, but okay. But right before they all leave, he's trying to get Eve to go down, and Eve starts crying and saying to Nick, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. And Nick really quickly picks up on, hold on, Juliet? And Eve kind of gives a half nod, before then going back into a trance again. And they manage to get her down into the tunnel too, and they're going through the tunnel. But now Eve is just completely different. She is just full of emotions, and as she tells Trouble, it's I can't stand, there is too much emotions going on right now. Showing what the stick really did there, it healed her up, but it healed her up too much. What it did is it didn't just heal up her body, it mended her mind. All the training that HW did to make her emotionless so that she could just be the perfect weapon for them has gone away now, and now she is back to being a human with emotions again, and all the emotions she's been balling up for a year now is just spilled out. And now she is just an emotional mess as they're trying to get out of here. Meanwhile, Nick is trying to hold back everyone. He almost kills all the Black Claw people until one Black Claw member manages to shoot him multiple times and he falls over dead. Only for him to get healed by the stick and stand back up to kill the guy. And at that moment, Bonaparte and Sean shows up. Meanwhile, in the tunnel, they're slowly getting further and further down, and they manage to find their way to the end, but it's locked and they can't get out of the tunnel. But at this moment, Rosalie, not knowing when the best time would be, finally just tells Monroe, like, I'm pregnant. I know this is not what you want to hear right now, but I'm pregnant, like, I'm having a child and all. And Monroe being the GOAT. Monroe is just the best character ever. Just everyone should idolize Monroe. It just says, why would I not want to hear that? There's nothing I would want to hear more. Like, I love you. We're having a child. That's awesome. Like, having that moment of what any good father should do, what any good husband should do in that moment of just being like, okay, I'm supportive, I love you, your body's going through these changes right now, you're going to be more emotional and all that, but I'm here to support you, I'm here to help you. And just, Monroe is the best at being Monroe, and Rosalie might be a little bit more emotional because now she's pregnant, and Monroe is taking that calm demeanor, like, why would I not want to hear that? Like, I love you. The news you just mentioned, I love it because now I'm going to be a father, but it's also, I love it because I love you, and this is news you wanted to tell me, so I love hearing it. Like, again, the GOAT. The absolute GOAT. Meanwhile, upstairs, Nick is confronted by Bonaparte and Sean. Bonaparte starts trying to kill Nick, but suddenly Sean finds himself picking up a sword and stabbing Bonaparte. And he doesn't know why he did it. But what we know, that Diana had figured out that Bonaparte had hurt her mom, and so she's using her voodoo doll to work through her dad to kill the man who had harmed her mom. Again, probably not a good thing that this 10-year-old is killing people, but pretty badass moment. And so the season ends with Nick and Sean having a stare down. And there we go. So this is season 5. Hope you enjoyed these reviews. My plan is to try to get to season 6 in October, maybe September. But I'm kind of thinking, wouldn't it be cool if we did it in October? We began the series all those years ago with season 1. I reviewed them in October. How cool would it be to do all the last season and also in October and end it on a Halloween or something like that? I don't know, but I might do it in September instead. It depends on how long I'm willing to wait because I am eager to get to the last season. It's shorter season, so it won't take as long to review. And then after I'm done with the whole series, then down the road, I'm going to be working on a different series, breaking those down, but then I'm going to come back and I'm going to review episode by episode, just really breaking down every scene, breaking down the camera techniques, just all things Grimm. So stay tuned for that, because that's going to happen eventually, maybe next year. We'll see what next year looks like. Again, this year has been crazy for me. If you had told me a year ago that I would be living in Alaska, I would not have believed you. So things happen. Maybe next year I'll be back in Ohio. Maybe I'll be in Kansas. I don't know where I'll be in a year. So I don't know what this channel is going to look like. I'm really hoping that it's going to change up a lot, but we'll see. Anyways, but the point is, this is the end of season 5. I said before this is my favorite season. After finishing the season, there are a lot of great moments I like about season 5, but man, maybe it was because how fast I watched the whole series. I didn't enjoy it as much. I loved some of these episodes. I love some of the moments in this, but I don't feel like I was able to enjoy it as much. Reviewing these, I enjoyed reviewing them, but I enjoyed watching the other seasons more so far. There's just the whole thing with not having the royals and having for most of the season Sean as a villain. I really didn't like it. So maybe season 6 will be my favorite season. Once I review that, we'll see. But it might actually be, even that season 4 doesn't have the best episodes, just overall season 4 might be the best season. So we'll see. Overall, that's season 5. If you want to see when I put out season 6 or when I put out other videos on this channel, I have some other videos planned that I'm going to be recording soon after recording this one. Stay tuned for that. And please consider subscribing. This has been the Movie Night Reviewer, Peter Wary, signing off.